resistance training essentials. I hope you've enjoyed the previous videos that we've done. They've been really useful for me to kind of work through some of the stuff in my head and kind of get it out to everyone, so I hope you're enjoying that at least. We've covered the lower body now with the squat and the deadlift / hinge and the lunge. And this week we're going to move on to the upper body. And this week's essential movement is the upper body pull. So these are pulling motions that you're going to do with your upper body, your arms mostly. But obviously engages lots of muscles in the back, and the shoulders, and the core while you're doing these things. So they're really they're movements that are, again, total body from an upper body perspective. So when we think about upper body pulling movements, they're generally, we can split them up into two kind of planes of motion. So we'll have a vertical upper body pull and then a horizontal upper body pull. And basically all this really means is you're pulling the weight towards you, okay? So you're pulling with your arms towards you, right? So for the upper body vertical pull, kind of the more traditional exercise that you're going to think of is a pull-up, right? And that sounds intimidating to a lot of people, and it certainly is a very hard exercise to do. It requires a lot of strength. You can't modify the weight that much because it's your body weight, and you're kind of using some smaller muscles when compared to your legs. So those things kind of combine to make it a very challenging exercise for a lot of people to do, which is okay. But don't fear it, because there's a lot of ways to modify these things and to make them easier. So I'll show you a quick modification to a pull-up that I like to use with clients as well, and a couple of modifications actually, and you can try and use those if you can't do a full body weight pull-up. And then the other one, the other horizontal pulling motion, is what's commonly known as a row. And there's a bunch of different variations of rowing that you can use. I'll show you one of my favorites, but you could do rowing with machines, dumbbells, kettlebells, barbells. There's a whole different bunch of rowing variations that you can do. So let's jump into this here. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is a pull-up. And a pull-up is, I'm sure everyone's seen it, but just to demonstrate it, here you go to your pull-up bar and pull up, right? So very simple, but again, very, very challenging, right? So you could do it pronated, supinated, neutral grips. It doesn't really matter. You can see the pull-up bar I have maybe here has a bunch of different grips that you can use. So I could do a chin up, I could do my neutral grips, I could do a pronated. There's even different angles here, and you can move it in and out, right? So there's a bunch of different ways you can do it. Now, if you are the rare person that can do a good number of bodyweight pull-ups, and you're looking to challenge yourself even more with a pull-up, you can use something like a weighted vest. So that's a way to kind of incrementally add weight to your body weight, so you can make it more challenging for yourself. Or they have belts that you can wrap around your waist and attach like a plate to, which is another way that people add weight to their pull-ups as well. So if you don't have extra weight you can add, you can try changing the pace at which you move, right? So one of my favorite movements is to do a pull-up, hold for a few seconds at the top, lower yourself down halfway, hold for a few seconds there, and then lower yourself down all the way and hold for a few seconds there, and repeat that. That's just one rep, right? And that's a good way to challenge it. Or you could just do very slow eccentrics and concentrics, and so you can play with the timing and the pacing of the reps as well to make it more challenging. That's probably a minority of people that are looking to make pull-ups more challenging than they already are. If you're someone that can't do a pull-up now, and you're looking to gain the ability to do a pull-up, which I think is an avid goal for most people to do, there's a couple different things you can do to modify things to start out, right? So the first thing I like to do is to have some people use a band. So you can see here I have a band just attached to the pull-up bar. And what you're going to do is try and safely put your foot inside this band. And that way, as you lower yourself down, the band's going to try and pull yourself up, and that makes the pull-up a lot easier to do, right? So I'll try and demonstrate this as best I can. So you're going to try and safely get your foot in here, right? So it might be hard. You might want to get a box or a bench or something you can stand on. I'm just going to stand on the rack here and put my foot in the band, and then grab the pull-up bar and lower myself down. So the band is stretched here, so that way when I pull, the band is helping pulling myself up, and I can do the pull-up. And it's much easier then, because I'm actually pulling less of my body weight, because in this case, the band is the thing that's pulling me up. So that's one modification you can do, probably the best one to do. You can get different size bands, so as you get stronger, use a smaller and smaller band, and provides less and less assistance, and then until you can do an actual pull-up. There's also machines at the gym, at commercial gyms, that do this, assisted pull-up machine. So you can add weight, different plates you can select, and that does essentially the same thing. But if you don't have a machine, you can use a band. Bands are super cheap to buy online, really useful for a variety of things. The other thing you can do from a pull-up perspective is just to do the lowering part only, right? So you can, again, try and get to the top of the pull-up bar like this, and then just lower yourself down. Okay, you let go, and get back up like this, and lower yourself down, right? So that's another way. If you can't do a full pull-up, a lot of times people can just get that motion of lowering themselves down. That's a beginning step, right, to getting there, right? So that's the pull-up. The other thing I'll throw in there, again, if you're at a commercial gym, or you happen to have something like I have here, a lat pull down is another way of a vertical upper body pull. So I have like this lat pull down attachment here on my rack. You can see if I pull this down, obviously I would be doing it more like this, seated down, seated, and pulling down like this. That would be another vertical pulling motion you can do as an alternative to a pull-up or in addition to pull-ups. So that's the vertical upper body pull. Now, the horizontal upper body pull, my favorite, again, is a row. I really like to do one arm dumbbell rows from a bench or a box or something like that. So I have a dumbbell here. I'll show you. Basically, it's very simple. You get a box or a bench or something you put your hand on. The foot that is opposite of the hand that's going to row is going to be forward. The foot of the leg of the same hand that is going to be rowing is going to be back. You can even put it out at a slight angle if you want, if that feels comfortable. You grab the dumbbell and you're just going to row, right? Just like this. And the cue here is two cues. Obviously, while you're rowing, think rowing, pulling with your back, right? You want to feel this in your back, not just your arms. You're going to feel it in your back, using the muscles of your back to pull that weight back, right? The other cue that people don't often think about with this is that this arm that's on the bench or the box or whatever, this should be engaged. This should be pushing into that box or bench, stabilizes that other part of your back, so you can really just isolate that arm or that side that you're rowing with, right? And that's another cue that I like to give people when doing that one arm row. Bonus tip here, these are fat grips. They're nice little tools, nice little things, rubber things you can buy that wrap around barbells or dumbbells. And you can see it makes the diameter of the handle much wider. And for those of you that are interested in increasing your grip strength, this is a great way to do it. So you take the fat grips, you put it on the dumbbell, and now you do the same exact exercise, but with the fat grips on it, and it's much more challenging. It's going to challenge your grip. And so if you're interested in grip strength, that's a nice little trick that I'm going to give you for that exercise. Now, there's a bunch of different rowing variations you could do. You could do bent over dumbbell rows like this. You could use kettlebells, barbells bent over. There's lots of different machines, rowing machines that you can use if you go to a commercial gym and you have a machine. Actually, I have a low row attachment on my rig as well that I could do rows with. You could use a TRX or a suspension trap to do rows. You could use a band to do rows. Anything where you're pulling vertically back like this in some form or fashion is a good way to do a row. And with that background noise, if you can hear it, is my heat that just kicked on. So I apologize for that. With that, that's the upper body row. And as always, if you have any questions or comments or need any help with any of this stuff, please shoot me a message, direct message, email, whatever. I will have a informative blog post about upper body rowing that's going to come out as well. So you can reference that. That has all the exercises, a bunch of different variations that you can choose to look at. And then, if you're interested in one-on-one coaching, please, as always, go to my website, rjbhelp.coach. Click on the button right on the homepage to sign up or fill out the form for one-on-one coaching. And if you are interested in getting all the content that I put out on a weekly basis free delivered to your inbox, you don't have to stalk me online, please go to my website again, rjbhelp.coach. At the top there's a newsletter link, and you can click on that, and that will you can enter your email address and get sign up for my newsletter, and I'll email you these videos and everything else that I put out on a weekly basis. And with that, I hope everyone has a great week, great weekend, and try some of these exercises out. Let me know what you think.